Is Meghan a narcissist?
I mean, you can't, without meeting her and without subjecting her to extensive tests, I can't sit here and diagnose and say I know that she has narcissistic personality disorder. But if you look at all of the diagnostic and statistical manual traits that a clinician would look for in diagnosing narcissism and the patterns of behavior.
Meghan Markle, once hailed as Hollywood's modern fairy tale princess, has made a cottage industry out of aesthetic reinvention. There she was again this 4th of July, casually dropping a video on her American Riviera Orchard Instagram, a clip meant to look breezy, effortless, aspirational. A classic charcuterie board, carefully arranged with cheeses, crackers, berries, and her much-hyped $14 raspberry spread taking center stage. But viewers immediately noticed something strange. The setup wasn't just generic influencer fare, it was eerily familiar. From the oversized blue and white striped button-down she wore, to the rustic dishes she plated, to the entire vibe of fresh, chic, summer entertaining. Every detail seemed lifted straight from someone else's life. And that someone else quickly emerged Eleanor Toulon, a French private chef and former model, known for her impeccable style and breezy, elegant culinary posts. But that's just what they wanted you to see. A cute 4th of July moment, a celebrity-turned-lifestyle guru playing Martha Stewart. The internet, however, dug deeper. Toulon's signature shirts? Meghan wore one. Toulon's minimalist gold necklace? Meghan flashed the exact same look. Even the plates on Meghan's table matched Toulon's kitchenware. The similarities didn't stop at style. Toulon's apricot recipes, her cocktail reels, her relaxed summer spreads all seem to have mysteriously migrated onto Meghan's Instagram grid over recent months. Viewers couldn't help but notice the pinky ring too, an accessory closely associated with Toulon's posts.
Person would say, maybe I should review my behavior, my character, and the way I'm putting myself out to the world, because I'm getting a lot of negative feedback here. Narcissistic personality disorder is a shield against reality. It's a shield against negative feedback.
Coincidence? Hardly. This wasn't subtle homage. This was full-blown duplication. And while Meghan has spent years branding herself as the queen of female empowerment, a woman championing authenticity, creativity, and self-expression, this latest episode painted a very different picture. She wasn't uplifting women. She was, quite literally, lifting from women. The irony was almost too much to bear. Here was the Duchess of Sussex, dripping in self-promotion and calculated casualness, mimicking another woman's aesthetic right down to the cutlery, or the absence of it. Finger food and ice cubes included. And if that wasn't enough to spark controversy, social media sleuths uncovered another layer. Eleanor Toulon doesn't just curate summer platters. She owns a boutique wine and spritzer brand, Lorenza Rosé. Suddenly, Meghan's recent cocktail reels, the dreamy captions about her love of French summers, her backyard drinks, all looked suspiciously familiar. Could it be that even Meghan's nostalgic backpacking through France story was borrowed from Toulon's life? The timing suggested as much. You probably think this is where the story ends. You're wrong, because what came next shattered even Meghan's most loyal fans' illusions. And it revealed how far this alleged Duchess of Duplicity may go to maintain an image, even if that means blurring the line between flattery and flat-out imitation.
I think the people who bought her produce on the first round, out of interest, intrigue, novelty value, I don't see what the incentive is for them to go back and get more, do you?
There's only the sort of the buzz of it, the momentary.
What happens next will shock you, but first you need to understand just how deep this rabbit hole goes. This wasn't Meghan Markle's first brush with accusations of aesthetic appropriation, but this time, the internet wasn't content to snicker quietly. A wave of side-by-side photo comparisons began circulating online, showing Meghan's Instagram posts mimicking Eleanor Toulon's content almost frame for frame. From nearly identical overhead shots of neatly stacked raspberries to the very same pale linen table runners, the similarities were impossible to ignore. Even the way Meghan's 4th of July spread was styled, loose figs on a rustic wooden board, casually torn bread, unfussy cheese wedges, felt more like a tribute than an original creation. Except tribute wasn't exactly the vibe critics were picking up on. Instead, it looked calculated, deliberate, almost strategic. But that's not even the craziest part. Followers of Eleanor Toulon discovered that Meghan's own inner circle may have played a role in this aesthetic heist. Kelly McKee, one of Meghan's closest friends, follows Eleanor on Instagram, which begs a question that no one can shake. Is Meghan Markle using her friends' following lists to hunt for her next personality template? Social media sleuths think so, and they're not being subtle about it. screenshots have surfaced showing eerily timed follows, likes, and comments that suggest Meghan had been quietly watching Toulon's feed long before unveiling her own suspiciously similar lifestyle brand.
Once praised for taking her children to school. It's incredible.
I think that she forgot. She's that she's never told us.
And there would have been the opportunity to flex. There would have been the opportunity to show off and brag that she has a nanny or she has a personal cook. And these two things will conflict in the moment.
It's not just that Meghan admired Toulon's aesthetic, it's that she appeared to systematically absorb and recreate it, as if curating an identity rather than a charcuterie board. Insiders weren't shy about weighing in either. Hollywood gossip columnist Neil Shah dropped an astonishing claim. Meghan's own staff allegedly refer to her behind closed doors as secondhand Rose, a nickname dripping with irony and shade. When your team compares you to a thrift shop, it says everything about how they perceive your originality. And for an image-obsessed figure like Meghan, that perception cuts deep. Because in Hollywood, especially in the influencer economy where authenticity is currency, being exposed as derivative can be brand-ending. Every carefully staged Instagram post, every breezy lifestyle anecdote, every softly lit close-up of Meghan's charcuterie board now reads as potentially borrowed. The internet is suddenly wondering, was any of it ever real? Even Meghan's trademark cocktail reels, supposedly inspired by her backpacking days through Provence, came under fire. Fans noticed that Eleanor Toulon had posted eerily similar reels weeks before Meghan's appeared. Same props, same camera angles, same dreamy captions. What once looked like a polished lifestyle brand launch now seemed to reek of desperation, mimicry, and a creeping identity crisis that no amount of PR spin could paper over. And if you think that's bad, keep listening, because this unraveling isn't just about Instagram aesthetics. It's about an empire of influence built on what now appears to be imitation. And that empire is beginning to crack.
Listeners will remember last week, Richard and another psychologist helped us, we put Harry on the couch, on the psychiatrist's couch, to try and work out what was going on in his head. I'm not sure he's at all sure.
At this point, what had begun as whispers of aesthetic borrowing exploded into a full-blown social media investigation. Every element of Meghan Markle's carefully curated American Riviera orchard brand was suddenly under scrutiny, and the findings? They were damning. Internet sleuths unearthed that Meghan's promotional captions, those dreamy, wistful musings about her love for slow summer afternoons and homemade spreads, bore striking similarities to Eleanor Toulon's past posts, almost word for word in some cases. The uncanny overlaps weren't limited to just visual style anymore. The language, the vibe, even the emotional tone of Meghan's captions seemed suspiciously familiar. Only insiders knew about this connection at first, but now the whole internet was paying attention. And then, silence. Meghan, who typically loves to control her narrative through perfectly timed PR releases and social media posts, went completely quiet on the matter. No clarifications, no clever reframe, just carefully crafted stillness, as if pretending the backlash didn't exist would make it disappear. But in Hollywood, perception is everything, and silence can sometimes speak louder than spin. The backlash intensified. Comment sections across Meghan's posts became flooded with users calling out her alleged plagiarism, many tagging Eleanor Toulon directly, demanding she get credit where credit is due. Even mainstream media began picking up the story, running headlines that questioned Meghan's originality and her entire brand strategy. You won't hear this anywhere else, but sources close to Meghan's team revealed that crisis meetings were happening behind closed doors. Apparently, her advisors were scrambling to rework upcoming content calendars, pivot her messaging, and distance her brand from anything that could be traced back to Toulon. But the damage was already done. Once the public sees through the carefully constructed facade of authenticity, it's nearly impossible to rebuild it, especially when every new post becomes a hunting ground for critics determined to expose more borrowed details. The internet thrives on this kind of detective work, and in Meghan's case, it became personal. This was no longer just about one influencer copying another's aesthetic. It was about trust, credibility, and the question that kept surfacing over and over again. Does Meghan Markle have an original thought left? But wait, it gets even juicier. The backlash wasn't confined to fans and influencers. A-list Hollywood insiders, stylists, producers, even celebrity chefs reportedly began whispering about Meghan's pattern of borrowing more than just aesthetics. Industry insiders pointed out that this wasn't the first time Meghan had been accused of mirroring successful women in her orbit. Former acquaintances recalled how Meghan would adopt other people's speech patterns, favorite restaurants, even travel stories and personal anecdotes, retelling them as her own. It's like she collects people's lives and then repackages them, one anonymous source claimed. If true, this paints an even more troubling portrait, not just of a woman borrowing an Instagram aesthetic, but of someone caught in an endless loop of image management, blending other women's identities into her own in a desperate bid to remain relevant. As the backlash raged on, Meghan Markle found herself facing not just online critics, but a rapidly closing circle of trust within Hollywood itself. What most people completely missed is that this wasn't just about a wine spritzer or a charcuterie board anymore. This was about reputation, the most valuable currency in the entertainment industry. When insiders lose faith in your authenticity, doors quietly begin to close, phone calls stop being returned, and opportunities dry up before you even know they were there. Behind the scenes, reports surfaced that several brand partners were reconsidering their collaborations with Meghan's American Riviera Orchard project, a prominent homeware brand that had initially been approached to partner with her on kitchen goods, allegedly paused discussions indefinitely after staff flagged how closely Meghan's aesthetic resembled Eleanor Toulan's. And Hollywood PR experts, they were whispering that this could be Meghan's biggest credibility crisis yet, one that even her formidable image management machine might not be able to contain. But you think that's bad? Keep listening, because what came next sent the controversy into overdrive. A vintage photo emerged online showing Eleanor Toulan attending a 4th of July gathering in Malibu 2 years earlier, wearing, you guessed it, the same oversized blue and white striped shirt Meghan donned in her recent Instagram post. The shirt wasn't just similar, it appeared to be identical, right down to the stitching and subtle fabric texture, visible when fans zoomed in and cross-compared the photos. Suddenly, the internet's collective sleuthing turned conspiratorial. Was Meghan Markle not just copying Toulan's look, but sourcing the exact items she had worn? Theories ran wild. Commenters speculated whether Meghan's stylist had been instructed to replicate Toulan's wardrobe, or worse, if pieces were being acquired intentionally to match Toulan's past posts. It didn't stop there. Even Meghan's highly stylized kitchenware, those rustic ceramic dishes, so carefully featured in her videos, came under fire. Fans discovered that Toulan had previously collaborated with a boutique ceramicist in Los Angeles, and that the dishes in Meghan's Instagram post appeared eerily similar to that collection. And when eagle-eyed internet users spotted that Meghan's pinky ring also mirrored a signature piece from Toulan's Instagram archive, it was game over. The cumulative effect was undeniable. This wasn't just one or two overlapping details, it was a pattern, a web of mimicry that spanned months, aesthetics, and even of personal narratives. And while Meghan remained silent publicly, insiders close to the situation say she was blindsided by how quickly this controversy spiraled out of control. Her team reportedly advised her to lean into the scandal, to play it off as admiration rather than imitation. But even that strategy felt too risky. In the court of public opinion, the jury had already delivered its verdict. Meghan Markle, the woman who built her post-royal brand on the promise of originality, was now being called out as Hollywood's most high-profile copycat. And the ripple effects were only just beginning. The immediate fallout was brutal. Meghan's 4th of July post, which she had clearly hoped would feel breezy and aspirational, became a lightning rod for ridicule and skepticism. Comment sections across Instagram and TikTok transformed into forums for amateur detectives and cultural critics alike. Every detail of her aesthetic was re-examined through this new lens of alleged imitation, and the industry took note. Reports soon leaked that publicists representing several A-list brands quietly advised their clients to wait and see before aligning themselves with Meghan's American Riviera Orchard project. In Hollywood, perception matters more than reality, and the perception now was that Meghan Markle was not leading a trend, but chasing one, desperately. And yet, Meghan said nothing. No statement, no clarification, no interview to reclaim the narrative. Her silence felt less like grace and more like strategy, or possibly paralysis, because in an era when authenticity is everything and social media thrives on takedowns, silence is rarely a shield. It's an amplifier. In Meghan's case, every day that passed without response gave fuel to the theory that her entire lifestyle brand might be little more than a carefully curated collage of borrowed aesthetics, stories, and identities. What happens next will define her future. Will she attempt a grand reinvention? distancing herself from the influencer lifestyle entirely? Or will she double down, betting that this too will pass as her critics lose interest? But here's where it gets even more fascinating. This isn't just about Meghan Markle anymore. Her unraveling is a reflection of a broader phenomenon in celebrity culture itself, where authenticity has become the ultimate marketing tool and where influencers and public figures carefully craft relatable personas by curating every detail of their lives, sometimes borrowing liberally from others along the way. Meghan's saga has exposed how thin the line is between inspiration and appropriation in the influencer economy, and her scandal may have ripple effects far beyond her brand. Industry watchers are now asking tough questions. How many celebrity lifestyle brands are truly authentic? How many influencers are actually telling their own stories versus retelling someone else's? Meghan Markle just became the cautionary tale for an entire industry. So what does this mean for her future? The answer might surprise you, because even as the backlash rages, Meghan's name remains at the top of headlines worldwide. Scandal or not, she commands attention. And in Hollywood, attention is still the most valuable currency of all. But for how long? Will this latest identity crisis erode the very audience she depends on? Or will she reinvent herself yet again, emerging from this controversy with a new angle, a new aesthetic, maybe even another borrowed personality? Only time will tell. One thing is certain. Millions of fans have no idea just how deep this story goes. And this may only be the beginning.